All right, hey guys, it's Friday afternoon. The market's closing. It's shooting this is at 111. We'll just record this as the market is closing. In front of you is a chart of November soybeans. Right as we close, you can see here. I've got this scrolled out a little bit so you can see kind of the slope of this market. Obviously, we're having a bad day here in November. Tried to rally this morning, failed, and what we're leaving behind is a bearish engulfing candle. And we're on the verge, and we'll see if we get it here in a minute, of a bearish outside day combination too, which is not a bullish thing at all. And we'll see if it can go ahead and accelerate. Now, I think that what we're going to do is see an acceleration in soybeans down to 1135 and probably down all the way down into the 1085 level before we get a meaningful bounce. And I think that that could take some time. Now, we do have a 9 on this chart, and we are oversold. So if we do bounce from here, absolutely possible and allowable, and it's anything but bullish, because what this really turns into is a nice sell opportunity, because this 9 gives way to a couple days of advance, and then it rolls back over and starts a new 9 count. And this red 1 right here should accelerate for 13 more days. And that can last a long time to get another 13 here. And we talked about this. We thought this was relatively bullish. So we were looking for a bump. It didn't get it. And when you get a bullish divergence with a 13 that fails, it becomes very bearish, and you end up with something like what we have. So we're going to keep looking lower in new crop soybeans. And let me turn this off. And in old crop, you know, this is even worse than new crop. I've got this pulled out all the way or zoomed out here so you can see back to July. We've now exceeded the low that was made in July, and on a closing basis anyway. And if we keep accelerating, I think that this can accelerate lower too. Let me clean some of this up here so you can see some of these retracement levels that we want to look at to try to guess where this low could come from or lead to. So today what we did is we accelerated at the 1382 extension, and this is an extension of this move here, okay? So measured from this peak. So earlier today we stopped and we paused right here, and we tried to rally back above it. And this also was retesting the bottom side of this downward trend channel. And now we've reversed and accelerated down through it, and we've exceeded the 1618 level. So like new crop, we have a 9 here, which could give way to a little bit of buying, but I don't think that's bullish at all either. I think that this just rolls over to new lows. And I think we're probably looking at lows down in the 1230 to 1190 range in old crop beans. So you know, this is just one of those things that's it's like just a falling knife, and everyone is now caught out of position, and traders are rushing to push it. So I don't see any reason to be on the buy side of this market. You know, if you try, good luck to you. I think you just need to be comfortable, and you just kind of have to accept that we're not going to catch the low in this thing. You got to let it trade, and you got to give it a reason to make you buy it. So it's got to do some work down there at the low. We still have 5 more minutes. This is typically the heaviest traded minute of the day, right at 114, and that's the old pit close. So the end of that minute has a lot to do with how algorithms will view this market moving forward. I don't know why that is, but clearly we're oversold, you know, but there's no rule that says it can't stay oversold for quite some time. And with this kind of momentum, I just think it's going to keep working lower. And if I were to dive into the shorter term charts, like the 60-minute, 240-minute, it doesn't get any more bullish. It really just looks like extensions happening, and the next fib target is all the way down here at 1238. So beans could have a ways to go. All right, so let's look at old crop corn first. As we switch to corn, I guess the point of all of these indicators down here is to show you that we do have some divergences in old crop corn formed off of this low. And like soybeans in corn, we came to the 1618, the 138, moved to the 618, and now we've reversed. But I don't think that these divergences are going to trigger. In fact, I think it's going to look more like soybeans because this is extremely weak action, and it's like a failed divergence. And if you notice, we also reverted back to this lower boundary line of this base channel, and we've reversed from it, and now we're on the verge here of leaving a bearish engulfing shadow, which is a sell signal in and of itself. So old crop corn, I think it's going to just keep on heading lower. First target is this 1235 level. Below that, or 535 level. Below that, 515, and below that, 465 on old crop corn. I don't think we drop straight to that level, but it's not out of the question here as well, with as bearish as these setups are. If we do get a little bump, I think that's going to be met with selling resistance too, and this thing should accelerate on lower. Okay, let's look at new crop corn. New crop corn is having a nice little pause and battle here at the $5 level. I've traded both sides of it today, but really you have to hand it to the bears today because they fought back and won the battle against the $5.10 mark. So they tried to rallied it right back to this low right here, and then rolled over and gave the market back to the bears. So a close down here puts the bears in total control, in my opinion, and lower we go. And probably for quite some time, we're looking down into the probably the 450 to 425 range before a meaningful low is scored in this market. But it is the new crop contract, and it is pretty early in the season, so people might want to step in and try to buy this and hoping that we get some sort of weather scare. But at the moment, I don't see any reason to be on the buy side here. Let's look at the weekly chart here too, just to see what it looks like. And you can see here we've got no reason to be overly enthusiastic. In fact, we had hoped that this low would hold right back here. It did not. We have retreated away from the weekly cloud, and it looks like we're headed to this 484 level. If next week December corn drops all the way to 466 and closes below it, I think people are going to try to buy that. But look what it could become is the lower edge of a weekly base channel, and it can accelerate lower out the downside of that. And that's what beans look like, and that's what wheat looks like as well. So corn is not having a good week, and I think it could really get ugly next week as we trade into it. So just because we're oversold, that absolutely does not make us buyers. I don't see any reason fundamentally or technically to jump in front of this market. Weather looks good, planting is good, demand sucks, and people are actually canceling it, right? So I don't see any reason to be on the buy side here. Just look lower and keep hedges in place. Okay, now let's look at Kansas City wheat. When we put the, okay, so this box, remember we drew this up here last week, and we said we don't really want to chase this move because of all of this resistance. Looks terrible to try to trade through. And even though on the weekly chart we had a big bullish reversal pattern, we just absolutely stopped dead in its tracks right at the bottom side of this range, and the funds sold it and started selling it heavily. And so this close that we have going on right here at 825 is super bearish in our opinion because of the weekly chart. All right, now here's your weekly chart. Here's this 13. Here's your bullish divergences. Here's the outside bar that we had that we thought, oh man, this is great. We're going to buy that because it's going to go up. Well, it did, and now the most recent signal on the chart is even more bearish than this was bullish because it's a outside bar, key reversal, double close on a weekly chart. It's an outside bar, double close, key reversal, which is a fresh new sell signal. And coming from the bottom of this red box that has all of this chop and slop in here, I think wheat's got a major problem and could easily come and exceed this low scored 2 weeks ago at the 736 level. And if we attack this down here, we could really reset this wheat value lower. Let me back this away from the July contract and go to our continuation chart because it gives us a little bit more trading data to analyze. and you can see what this did. Well, now, what's the difference between a continuation chart and the one I just showed you? The one I just showed you was just the July contract from its origin through today. This contract is every nearby. So it's always the most liquid contract that gets charted here. And this gives us the low starting in 2020, which was at $5, right? Or at 408, and then the extreme of 1. What we would expect to happen here if this level breaks is for a reset all the way down. This is this 740, 750 level. I would expect a retest of somewhere in the 656 and 550 range, which is this expanse of this low, right, this range right in here. So if we get follow through selling in here next week, I would expect wheat to go ahead and accelerate and push itself lower, especially if corn does it too. So I don't think that there's anything bullish on this chart. We had hoped that we'd get some higher prices to sell, but on the other hand, we knew that we didn't want to jump in and buy it up here either, just because of the risk there. So if you're with us, we've got hedges on, and we're just going to keep them there. We did buy calls, but that's 30 cents we're very happy to give back to keep our short futures on and not worry about upside prices. So barring something really significant happening in wheat, I think it's just going to go lower. Phil told me a minute ago, and Jeff, that the Kansas wheat crop tour had abandonment of almost 26% in yield and overall crop size, the lowest since like the 50s or something like that. So really bad crop information, should be super bullish this market, and it is just not. So the market priced that in, and now it's pricing in something else, and we don't really know what it is. So from an overall standpoint, right, you've got soybeans closing at their lows, which beans did finish a outside bar key reversal. Old crop beans closed at 13.05, which is super bearish. New crop corn closed off of its lows. It really didn't do any major damage except leave this long shadow at the bottom of this level. And new crop corn on a weekly chart, it didn't get a reversal, and on the daily it was I'm sorry, that's the weekly. Let's go daily here. And we were unable to hold $5. So I would look for new crop corn to accelerate lower next week into sales. So, we'll see what happens. But lower we look, don't see any reason to be on the buy side of it. And if you're worried about selling it, you would, in my opinion, and you'll probably get 10 guys give you different opinions here, but technically, this looks to me like soybeans did a week ago. So let's look at old crop soybeans a week ago. We had, hey, this is turning bullish. This is what new crop corn could look like next week. And so if you're worried about selling it, it's not too late. You'd much rather sell it and worry about higher prices if they come, because you'd rather sell it than and be short and worry about higher prices from down here than anything else. So I don't think it's too late. I think that there's still a lot of meat left on that bone to pick as these things unfold to lower prices. All right, that is 13 minutes. I know that's depressing news, but rain makes grain, and all things look really good on the production side moving forward here. It's going to take something much more significant than what we've got now to turn these things higher from either a supply or a demand standpoint, because both look to be curing towards much, much higher carryouts. All right, there is risk trading futures and options. If you have questions, please call us. You should only trade in light of your own financial condition. We will be with you Monday. Have a great night. See ya.